In Madagascar, the further we travelled, the stranger and wilder it became. Last week, we arrived in the central highlands, then journeyed west towards the coast in the spiny forest for our first taste of this extraordinary island. This week, we go deeper into remote terrain in search of a side of Madagascar that feels almost untouched. Here live some of the most endangered and unusual species on Earth.
Crazy.
But Madagascar isn't just about wildlife and landscapes. Along the way, we meet people and communities whose traditions and daily lives are shaped by this remarkable land. This is Madagascar, Part 2. At first glance, the hills around Betsileo look bare and heavily used. But hidden among them is something remarkable. This small forest is the Anja Community Reserve, and it isn't run by the government. It's owned and managed entirely by the local village. Meet Simon, one of the founders.
To protect this area, and finally this area become a reserve.
In the early 2000s, the community made a decision: protect this forest and try to earn a living from it. Today, Anja is home to Madagascar's highest concentration of ring-tailed lemurs, along with chameleons, birds, and a landscape of towering granite boulders. Tourism income helps fund schools, healthcare, and village infrastructure. But conservation here isn't simple. According to the World Bank, around 3/4 of Madagascar's population lives on less than $2 a day. For many families, the forest isn't just wildlife habitat. It's fuel, food, and survival. For projects like this to succeed, protecting nature has to compete with something far more immediate: the daily needs of the people who live beside it. The ostelet chameleon, using skin structures called chromatophores to blend and adapt to its environment. Each eye individually capable of rotating and focusing on a prey item. With the target expertly acquired, the chameleon's tongue, a wonder of nature, launches as a lightning-fast projectile to nab unsuspecting prey. Here it is again, slowed down to about half speed to get a better appreciation of the length and mechanism of that amazing tongue.
That's crazy.
This is the nymph of a Madagascar flatted leaf bug. Covered in a wispy white wax, it looks just like lichen on the march. Fragile, almost unreal, straight out of Alice in Wonderland. But in Madagascar, life is like that. Everywhere you look, delicate, exposed, and remarkably adaptable. And it's the same story with the lemurs. The boldest and most charismatic of Madagascar's animals. They're more than just a group. They're a society with leaders, rivals, alliances. And Anja is one of the best places to watch their complex world unfold. In Betsileo, some traditions haven't been replaced by machines. Silk weaving runs deep in the culture of the Southern Highlands. The fibres come from wild silkworms that feed on native tapir trees. Traditionally, the silk was used for burial shrouds and for famadihana, the turning of the bones ceremony, a reminder of the enduring connection between the living and their ancestors. Today, the industry still provides income for local families. Heritage woven thread by thread. Papermaking here is just as traditional. Known as Antemoro paper, it's made much as it has been for generations. Fibres from the avoha tree are beaten by hand, shaped and left to dry in the sun. The craft traces back to scholars who once used it to record history, astrology and sacred texts. In the towns of Madagascar's central highlands, the streets are lined with colour. Houses are washed in soft pastels, blues, greens and pinks, chosen not for decoration but for practicality. These lighter tones reflect the harsh tropical light, helping keep interiors cooler. Many of the buildings also carry the legacy of French colonial rule. Lime-washed facades and wide wooden verandas, known as varangues, open the homes out to the street. By day, the varangues provide shade and shelter from rain. But in the evenings, they become something more. A front row seat to daily life where neighbours gather. The French influence is still visible elsewhere too. Outside the Church of St. Joseph, locals come together for a game of pétanque, a simple ritual that has become part of the rhythm of the town. In 1986, a species previously unknown to science was discovered by primatologist Dr. Patricia Wright, the golden bamboo lemur. The find became one of the most important conservation turning points in Madagascar. It revealed just how much of the island's wildlife remained undocumented and sounded a warning about the pressure forests were already facing from logging and agriculture. Just 5 years later, the government established Ranomafana National Park, created and enlarged to protect this remarkable animal. Today, the golden bamboo lemur is still critically endangered, and its survival is made even more extraordinary by its diet. It feeds primarily on giant bamboo shoots, plants that contain levels of cyanide high enough to kill most animals. But while the golden bamboo lemur was the catalyst, the park now protects far more. Ranomafana is home to hundreds of species of birds and reptiles, and more than a dozen types of lemur, including the Milne-Edwards sifaka, a large-bodied species with rich chocolate, black and white colouring.
Just got paid on by a sifaka.
After a gestation of around 180 days, sifaka infants are born in June or July. But life here is fragile. Fewer than 25% survive their first year, facing predation and disease. Yet this forest remains one of their last strongholds. One individual greater bamboo lemur, her name Simone, has drawn global attention after being identified as possibly the last of her kind in the region when her father disappeared several years ago. Today, she moves quietly along the forest edge, trailing a pack of golden bamboo lemurs, a reminder of just how close extinction can come. When we think of Madagascar, we picture lemurs, vanilla, and rainforest. But for most people, the reality is here: fields, livestock, and hard ground. This is the heartland of the Betsileo people, whose communities stretch through towns like Sotra. At the centre of daily life is the zebu. More than cattle, they represent wealth, status and cultural identity, working the fields, providing food, and playing an important role in ceremony and tradition.
It's very Wizard of Oz.
Today we're covering a lot of miles as we head northeast towards Antemoro. Some suspension problems give us an unplanned reason to pause and the chance to meet a few locals.
Alright, there you go.
Antemoro reveals another side of Madagascar. Away from the forests and wildlife, this is where everyday life is built, quite literally, from the ground up. Fields are worked by hand. Clay is shaped into bricks and dried in the sun. There are few machines here and few shortcuts. For many families, access to education is limited. Schools are often under-resourced and children may walk long distances when they're not needed at home or in the fields. Healthcare can be just as difficult to reach. Clinics are few, equipment is basic, and for many people, treatment depends on distance, cost, and sometimes luck. Opportunities are scarce. Most work is informal, tied to the land, the seasons, and the daily need to provide. For young people especially, the future can feel uncertain. In 2025, that frustration spilled onto the streets in the capital as youth-led protests called for action against corruption. It was a reminder of the growing pressure felt by a generation determined to build a different future. Let's make koba, a traditional Malagasy sweet treat. Grind up some rice flour. Sift to make it nice and fine. Add brown sugar, crushed peanuts, and a pinch of vanilla. Squish in some ripe bananas. Combine everything well, the more hands the merrier. Parcel into banana leaves and steam to make firm and aromatic. Voila.
Need more sugar?
So we start for night walk. Night walk around 1 hour.
We're on the edge of Diademed National Park. Over the next 24 hours, I'm about to be blown away by some of the most exciting and unusual wildlife encounters of my life. A creature no bigger than a tennis ball and weighing about the same as an egg. The Goodman's mouse lemur, packing an astonishing amount of personality into a body that fits in the palm of your hand. We wake to heavy rain in Diademed National Park, one of the last surviving stretches of Madagascar's eastern rainforest. A mist-soaked world of moss-covered trees and thick canopy. Rain softens the forest and reveals its quieter residents. A Parson's chameleon, slow, deliberate, swaying gently back and forth, camouflage through motion. By moving like a leaf in the wind, it breaks up its outline, making it harder for predators and prey to recognise it as an animal. And while the ancient-looking Parsons is a heavyweight of the chameleon world, the nose-horned chameleon is delicate and leaf-sized. When plants start looking back at you, it usually means you've spent too much time in the forest. Here, you've struck wildlife gold. Through the steady drone of rain comes a soft, throaty, pig-like grunting, a promising sound. Brown lemurs. They pass close beside us, methodically foraging for fruit and performing their essential role as the forest seed disperses. The Madagascar moon moth, a giant silk moth with flowing tails to confuse predators. As an adult, it doesn't feed, living only a few days to reproduce. Squint, or you'll miss it. This is the mossy leaf-tailed gecko. It doesn't just hide, it disappears. Its skin is patterned in mottled greys, greens and browns, perfectly matching the lichen-covered tree trunks it calls home. Fringed skin runs along the edges of its body and legs. When the gecko presses itself flat against a tree, these flaps break up its outline and eliminate shadows, one of the most sophisticated camouflage systems in the animal world. This isn't just good adaptation, it's the result of millions of years of evolution, shaping a creature to match a single environment almost perfectly. Through the canopy, a flash of colour, the Diademed sifaka. One moment the forest is still, the next movement all around. And that unmistakable feature, a soft golden crown. One of the largest sifaka species, weighing around 5 kilograms, they are expert vertical clingers and leapers, built for life high in the canopy. Mothers usually give birth to a single infant, which clings tightly to her belly during the first weeks of life, before graduating to a more comfortable ride on her back. They pause often, constantly scanning the forest for predators, including birds of prey. But despite their agility and awareness, the greatest threat comes from elsewhere. The Diademed sifaka is now classified as critically endangered due to habitat loss and hunting. If you think you've got loud neighbours, think again. That haunting call cutting through the forest belongs to the Indri, Madagascar's largest living lemur. With thick black and white coats, round faces, and almost human eyes, they look like something between a teddy bear and a panda. I've been waiting for this moment my entire time in Madagascar. Thanks for joining me over the past 2 episodes. If you enjoyed the journey, there's plenty more travel and adventure on the channel. Subscribing is free and it really helps the channel grow. Liking and leaving a comment also makes a big difference. See you in the next adventure.